Next question is, do we have a sacred text like a Bible? And the answer is a resounding maybe. Also folks, welcome to the Northwoods Kindred. I am your Gothi Bodvarr, and in today's video we're going to talk about frequently asked questions for Asatru. Not so much to answer your questions, but to give you the ammunition to answer the questions of your friends and family and people you care about. And stick around to the very end of this video because I have a special gift for you that's going to make this task a lot easier in the future. You know, once you finally decide that you're gonna commit to Asatru and this is going to be your way, it's something I did 25 or more years ago. So I know that when that happens, there's going to be questions. People you've known for a long time and people you just meet are going to have questions. It's not real simple all the time to answer them. You'd be surprised at how inquisitive some people can be, and not everybody is nefarious about it. Some people honestly just want to know. Some people are doubting their own religious choices in life and want to know what you're doing because that may be the path for them. And if you can't articulate that correctly, sometimes you could scare away potentially really good ally in our fight. So when you say Asatru, nobody really knows what you're talking about unless they've actually done a little bit of research on their own. But when you say that religion of Odin and Thor, the first thing they think, Marvel Comics, Assassin's Creed. Now that might have been what brought some people here, but if that is the bulk of the knowledge that they have, they're probably not here for the right reasons. There's absolutely no relative or valuable information in those whatsoever. Assassin's Creed, I don't know, I don't play it. I know that it brings people in. I'm not sure it keeps them here because I'm not sure there's anything valuable. But when you say that, that's what people think. So it's our job of followers of the way to change people's perceptions of that. It's not a video game, it's not a comic book, it's not a party game. It is a real, living, breathing religion that has been on this planet as long as people, and we need to give it the respect that is due by knowing how to articulate exactly what it is that we believe in. So once we get through that, and we can establish that we are Asatru and we're a real religion, the first question that you'll always get asked, or I always get asked, is what is Asatru? It is the pre-Christian religion of our European, Scandinavian, Germanic ancestors going back into prehistory. There was a time during the Crusades when they were driven underground and were forced to worship in quiet and in secret, but a small remnant remained, some of it written down by Christian monks, some of it held in the stories of the folk, and enough of it survived that in later years, after all of when you could openly believe whatever you wanted to believe, it was available to be reconstructed and built back into a living, breathing religion, which is growing. What does Asatru mean? And what it means is true to the Asir. And that's not exclusive to the Asir. See, we have two races of gods, the Asir and the Vanir, and then there's a whole host of other holy creatures that inhabit the world that we work with. But the Asir and the Vanir are the primary gods. Legend has it that there was a war between the Vanir and the Asir, and then whoever won, probably the Asir, and then they merged and became just one band of gods, but they still had different races. So true to the Asir, but more collectively true to the gods of the Aesir and the Vanir. So what do Asatru believe? We believe in a pantheon of gods and goddesses, and we don't believe that any of them are perfect. What it is all of the gods have their strong points and they have their faults. They're all flawed in one way or another. And what that is that's a model for us. It tells us that our faults don't define us. Neither do our strong points. It's how we work the two together. So we believe in a whole pantheon of gods that have good points and bad points, and they provide an example for us, and we try to live our life according to the example that they set. We believe that everybody is responsible for their own actions. There are no excuses. The gods will not bail us out when we get in trouble. They'll provide us with enlightenment. They'll provide us with knowledge. They'll provide us with maybe lay a path out in front of us, but sometimes that path begins with pain and failure, and the gods are all too happy to see us through that. But you are ultimately responsible for the outcome. We know that our fate is fixed. The moment we're born and the moment we die cannot be changed. But there's a big path. Think of it this way. There's a blanket with a string on this side and a string on this side. This is a fixed point. This is a fixed point. But there's so many different routes of thread that you can take to get from point A to point B. That is up to you. Next question is, do we have a sacred text like a Bible? And the answer is a resounding maybe. We don't have one book, one Bible that's a be-all, end-all. What we have is we have a collection of stories and poems and histories that were all written down by various different peoples, from the Romans to the Christians to converted Vikings, and rune stones that were found on gravesites, like everything, all kinds of bits and pieces that were all collected by some scholars over the years. I will caution to avoid, for your primary education, the books by people like Thorson, Paxton, Fitch. They're great little books to entertain you with, but they're not really deep knowledge of the path. And if you look at the big bibliography in there, you'll see a list of books by Rydberg and Grimm and Tyson and Du Chaillu. You'll see books like that. Those books were well researched, and they were written with a scholarly approach to our history, trying to preserve something that was going to be lost. So I would caution that if you're heading down this path, get those older books or a copy of them. Form your own opinions. Read those books and form your own personal opinions, and then go absorb that new knowledge and read those new books and those how-tos once you've already formed your own opinion. Don't idolize any one channel, book, person, speaker, Gothi, and then adopt their opinion as your own because they have a deeper base of knowledge than you. Form your own opinions based on your own readings, and read the oldest, most close to the source books that you can get your hands on. I have a couple here. I'm going to show you a few of my favorites, my go-tos, and I'll link them. I'll see if I can find links. I'll link them to Amazon below. If you follow it, we'll get a little kickback, but it's not much, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. But I'll link just the books that I will personally vouch for. And we're going to start with Rydberg's Our Fathers God Saga. This has some it's very easy to read, especially if you're trying to read to young ones. There are other versions. Rydberg has other texts, like Rydberg's Teutonic Mythology. They're much harder to read, but this is in story form, very easy to read, has some really good stories, and some of them are told in a way that you can't really find anywhere else. So definitely a winner there. When I can find an older copy, I will. This is a newer copy. For me, I think I got this at a bookstore, but it might be on Amazon. I'll see if I can find it. Definitely a resource that should be in everybody's library is the Heimskringla. Okay, it was recorded by Snorri Sturluson, and it is the lives of the Norse kings. And I believe it starts mythologically and begins with Odin and travels all the way up until the end of the Viking Age. Poetic Edda. This is just one of many, many, many copies of the Poetic Edda. This one is by Liam Hollander. I had this hard copy. It was a gift, but I have 3 or 4 paperback copies. It was my first copy of the Poetic Edda, so I'm really partial to it. The Sagas of the Icelanders. No collection should be complete without the Sagas of the Icelanders as well. You go through the Icelandic sagas, you read Egil's sagas, and you'll read about the daily lives of the people of Iceland, and it will tell about food and the things, and how they dealt with crimes, and how they dealt with curses, and how they dealt with all manner of different things that you would expect to come in Viking life. And it is a really good resource, especially if you're trying to research how to do something such as a marriage, a naming, a blessing of a child, a land taking, any of those kind of things. You would want to go back, find a relevant topic, and run it down in a book like this, and really, really get insight into Viking life in that time period. My all-time favorite. This is a 2-volume set, The Viking Age by Du Chaillu, and this particular one was published in 1890. It's old, and I use it a lot. As you can see, I got markers all over the pages. It is probably one of the best references for the overall view of everything that was going on at the time. Now, I just ordered a paper reprint set of these from Amazon. They should be at my door this week. If I find them to be decent copies, I will link to the exact ones that I ordered. There's a lot of different ones on there that get a lot of different reviews. One of the things that make these so valuable is the fact that they have so many illustrations of everything from the ritual gear, the day-to-day gear, boats, horns, weapons. Everything is in here illustrated in super detail. And if any copy comes out and it doesn't have those super clean illustrations, it's not going to be a copy worth having, because there's a lot of detail and a lot of information you can get from this, from the original order of the runes to how a funeral was conducted. It's all in here. So if we had a Bible, or anything that you would consider a Bible, I would say it would be this and a copy of the Havamal. And so the Havamal is probably that one thing that we put the highest value on. The Havamal is a collection of poems written down in the Poetic Edda and translated dozens of times, and it basically tells you how to conduct your life. So the short answer is, they're a sacred text. They're all sacred. If you can find information that's unspoiled by modern times and not written to sell books, but written for a scholarly purpose, then you have found a sacred text. The next question that people answer is there a church? Do we have a place of worship? This is my church. We are in my Ve, my holy space. This is where we, quote unquote, worship. This is where we honor our gods, our ancestors, in an outdoor environment like this. Now, I understand that not everybody has an outdoor environment. We can set up a dedicated space in our small indoor dwellings where we have a constant place where we can go and pay honor to our ancestors and our gods. But you will feel more full and enriched if you can occasionally get out and honor them amongst the trees, out in nature where they live. I guess one of the next questions would be, do you have a priest? The answer is, sort of. We don't have a priest and a minister that operates in the same type of capacity as the Christian churches or the Abrahamic views do. We have the Godar. Collectively, they are the Godar, and that would be our Gothi, and our Gidya would be our female companion. It's not like a church where you have a priest and a nun, and the two are not equal. You have a Gothi and a Gidya. The two are absolutely equal, 100%. They will perform rituals. They will do those things that you would normally request of a priest, a baptism or a naming ceremony, a land taking, blessing of steel, facilitate actual ritual. They would be your spiritual guide or spiritual leader. They might walk you through some best practices or guide you, or maybe they're your sitter. If you're doing a utaseta, a sit out or some sort of a shamanic ritual, they can be there to guide you and to keep you safe. So they're going to play that more of a guiding spiritual role. So another question is, do you pray? And you know, it's funny. It's not a religion so much as a spiritual path. So there is prayer, but prayer isn't like you would expect. Prayer is a conversation. And it's up to you. People can make their own minds about whether or not they want to kneel before their gods. I think that that's a holdover from our Christian roots, but I haven't found any documentation yet to the contrary, but I am still looking. But me personally, I refuse to bow or kneel before the gods or man. To me, when I pray, I will do it standing or sitting on a bench like the one I have here. The purpose is that it's like having a conversation with a respected elder. I'm not subservient to my ancestors or to my gods. I am of them. I am descendant from them. So I can speak to them as an ancestor. I can ask for guidance. I can ask for help. I can give thanks. I can do all of those things without belittling myself before them, in my opinion. But you can make your own opinions. That's why I say, get the text, read the text, and make your own opinion about how it works for you, because it is a spiritual path, not a religious one. One of the most common questions that we get is, what does the afterlife look like? And if you tell people Valhalla, immediately they turn on the comic book again. So that's not where we want to go. The truth of the matter is Valhalla is a very restrictive place. It's restricted for warriors slain in battle. Okay, that's it. Warriors slain in battle. And then only half of them. The other half go to Fensalar because Freya, the Queen of the Valkyries, gets to pick what she wants, take the one she wants, send the rest to Odin, and that's it. Everybody else goes to hell. That's right, they go to hell. But it's not the hell in the terms like you would think in the Christian hell. There are 9 realms to hell, 9 halls that Hela governs, and they go from eternal bliss to eternal torment, and they're based on how you lived your life. So the afterlife is 100% dependent on the way that you treat people and the way that you live the life that you have right now. There is no forgiveness. There is no last minute get out of jail free card. And you don't just get to cash in your chips and be like, poof, I'm out, I'm sorry, I'm gone, I'm doing my thing. You actually have to live a good life up until that point, and we don't know when that point is. Now, I hope that helps you explain a little bit better this path to those that you love and actually care to enlighten. Now, I promised you a gift. So since you stuck around this long, if you go down below, there's a link and it's going to take you to my website, and you can download this for free. It is the frequently asked questions of Asatru, and everything we just covered, maybe not in as great of detail, it's summarized in this flyer. A simple little outreach flyer that you can study, make notes on, or educate your kinsmen. Educate those that are new that you're bringing into the path. Go ahead and give them one of these so that they now have the ammo in the magazine to defend Asatru. I hope you found that useful, and don't forget to go download that leaflet. I put that together just for you, and I got more coming in the series, and they're all going to be available to you very, very soon. I am your Gothi Bodvarr, and may your path be paved with knowledge and inspiration. Hail the folk!